I'm Niamh Cassidy, a former social care worker who, after having my own children, found a calling as a childbirth educator and lactation consultant. Back when I started this journey, I faced the same challenges many of you might be experiencing right now, struggling to get enough clients to make my business viable long term. I knew in my heart that I had the skills and knowledge to make a difference, but the thought of marketing and selling left me feeling a bit uneasy. I didn't want to compromise my authenticity and values just to attract clients. I invested in trainings and mentorships, and I tried various strategies that I learned, but it often felt like I couldn't implement a lot of it because what I was being taught didn't match my values as a birth and postpartum worker. That's when I decided to take matters into my own hand. I embarked on a mission to learn, to experiment, and to find ethical and authentic ways to share my expertise, support my clients, and build a sustainable practice. Today, I'm proud to say that I run a thriving private practice, and I'm here to share my insights with all of you to help you to do the same. Join me on this journey as I help you bridge the gap between your passion for supporting new parents and the success you deserve. Together, we'll discover the power of ethical, authentic, and effective approaches, not only to make a living, but also to make a positive impact in the world of birth and postnatal care. Let's get started on this empowering journey together. Well, hello, and welcome back to the Pregnancy and Postnatal Entrepreneurs Collective podcast. I am here with Amy Crumpton today, and I'm really, really excited to have you with me today, Amy.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too. So Amy and I have been working together for some time. Amy is a business coach, and we have had a really, really great journey together and all the help that she has given me. But Amy has some very exciting news, both in her personal life, but has also influenced her professional life. So maybe, Amy, you'll tell my audience a little bit more about yourself.
Yes. So as you said, I am a business and mindset coach, and I've been doing this for the past coming up to 7 years now. It's a 7-year anniversary next month. And as you said, I've got some very exciting personal news as well. So in May, I found out that I was pregnant with my first child. And I already knew that I was wanting a change in the business. So I'd been doing the same thing for so long, and I was just ready for a bit of a different chapter. And then when I became pregnant, I had this whole identity shift, which I'm sure that you can completely understand. And I was like, I'm just so ready for something new. Although I knew that I was taking a year-long maternity leave from December. So the baby's due in January. So I'm planning to finish around Christmas time for a full year. And I was like, what can I do? And I was just going over and over and over all these different ideas in my mind. And I had this kind of epiphany moment where I was like, oh my God, I am so in this baby bubble right now. I am so excited to go off on maternity leave for a full year, and how amazing that I'm in a position to be able to do that. And I just knew that so many other business owners weren't able to do that for themselves, or they didn't know they could do that for themselves, or know what options were available for them. And I was like, this is it. I want to help people who are either pregnant right now and wanting to take a decent amount of time off for maternity, or they're thinking about having a baby, but because they're self-employed, they're just thinking it's not the right time, they'll never be able to afford it, how will they be able to look after a child and run a business? And I was like, this is exactly what I want to help people do. So I did set up a new brand called Your Mama Era quite recently, which has been going really well on social media. And I'm just so excited to be entering this new chapter, both personally and professionally, and just everything that comes with it.
And you did a lot, and we're going to talk about a bit more in detail about the work you did on kind of what you call baby proofing your business to get ready for your maternity leave. But you had time to plan at the time for yourself, because I know even for our relationship, you told us quite early that you were planning a pregnancy, which is unusual, I suppose, in itself, for people to kind of tell other people that they're planning. Mm-hmm. I think more of it, to be honest. That would be my opinion. We should have these conversations openly, but it's not the most usual thing for people to do. And I know babies weren't always on your horizon. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, it's so funny that you said that. Like, I am such an open book. I cannot hold my own water. Like, I'm such a sharer, sometimes too much of a sharer. And I knew that I was going through this, deciding to have a family, which was something that I never thought was anything that I was, planning to do, and then deciding that, yes, I 100% do want to have a family, and I'll touch on that. But it's just so funny because I do share so much so openly. So you probably hear me sharing quite a lot in this podcast episode and think, oh, people don't usually talk about that kind of stuff. But I do believe that, the more open we can be and the more conversations that we can all have together, it actually just makes life a lot easier. The hardest thing for me was keeping the pregnancy a secret. Like, oh my God, that was really, really, really hard. But going back to what you said, like, yeah, I never thought that kids was on the cards for me. And that was through personal choice. I've always been someone who's loved my freedom, loved traveling the world. And I just never saw how a family could fit into that. I never lived my life thinking I was born to be a mother. I never had that instinct. But then over the past couple of years, I have definitely felt like there was something missing. I've lived this extraordinary life. I've built this incredible business and I'm traveling the world and I should be so, so happy. And I felt like a huge part of me was missing. And then when I really dug into what that was, I felt that it was my time now to become a mum, and it was my time now to bring a child up and, share this experience with a family. And yeah, that was 2 years ago now that I decided, well, I was umming and ahhing, like, is it the right thing to do? Is it not? Is it just because I'm getting older and I feel like I should be making that decision now, otherwise I'm going to run out of time? But I just sat on it. I didn't rush into anything. And then I decided last year that, no, this is 100% the right thing that me and my partner both wanted to do. And then thankfully, luckily, we got pregnant fairly quickly, which I'm just so grateful for, because I know that it's not that easy for everybody.
Yeah, and there's something in that as well, in making those plans. And you mentioned how sometimes when someone is working for themselves, when they're self-employed, that the thoughts of taking a maternity leave and therefore not getting paid, because that's generally what happens when you're self-employed. If you don't work, you don't get paid. That a lot of people feel that they can't do that it just can't be part of their experience as a self-employed person. So how did you get over that part, I suppose?
Yeah, I guess I'm so grateful that, the business has seen so much success, like more success than I ever could have imagined. And I'm so grateful for those years where I was really able to pour so much into the business and build really solid foundations and build an incredible client base, that has enabled me to then be able to look at the business from a different point of view and think, right, what do I need to change now to enable me, if I want to take that full step back for a full year, what needs to happen? It basically was just about making some big decisions, quite scary decisions, and thinking about the income that we needed to live comfortably, and what does that look like, and then making sure that we were going to be okay for that amount of time. And I guess it does come down to that planning. And if you know a few years in advance that you want to start planning for a family, then that's fantastic. You've got a really, really long runway to prepare for that. For some people, babies come as a bit of a surprise, and it's not always that easy then to think, right, okay, what needs to happen? Because you kind of go into this fight or flight mode and you're thinking, I need to just hustle and make as much money as possible, because if I'm going to be looking after making sure the finances are in order and looking after a baby, I'm not able to work as much. What is that going to look like for me? So it really is just about getting so much clarity on your life situation, how much money you're going to need to survive that pregnancy and that maternity period, and just making it work for you. And there's so many different ways that you can actually do that.
So if we think about first, I suppose, the people who do have a little bit of time, who are planning a pregnancy rather than pregnant already, what are some of the tips or suggestions you would give those people to help them plan for that period of leave?
Well, but first of all, it would all come down to the amount of income that you would need and knowing your numbers. And I think that's something that people do really shy away from, especially when they're thinking about having a baby and the expense that comes with that anyway, which I am finding out is very, very expensive. Like, who knew car seats and prams and everything was so expensive? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that was eye-opening. But like, knowing how much money you're going to need to survive, how much money is your partner bringing in, if they're bringing in an income as well, like if you do have a partner that's providing for you too, like how much money is collectively coming into the household, how much money you're going to need to survive each month, and what income is your business bringing in right now? Because if you need to put away a set amount each month, then that's something that you can start doing right now to ensure that when you do go on maternity leave, if you want to just fully pause your business, completely stop, then you can absolutely do that, because you've got the funds there to support you. For other people, that might look like automating areas of their business as well, so that they've got income still coming in even when they are off. Now, that might mean that you do still need to be a little bit involved in the business if you're needing to check things like, requests from clients, or it might be that you've got a question that comes in about a particular product, and if it's you who's having to answer those questions, you need to bear that in mind. Is that something that you want to be doing whilst you're on maternity leave, or do you need to bring somebody else into the business that can actually do that for you and act as kind of like a manager whilst you're away?
Feeling stuck in your birthwork business, posting non-stop, answering DMs, juggling admin, but still not getting the clients you want? It doesn't have to be this way. I've put together the Birthworkers Business Playbook, a free guide with 3 simple systems to help you get visible without spending all day online, book clients with ease, no more ghosting, streamline your admin so you can focus on what you do best. These are the exact systems I wish I had when I started, and now they're yours, totally free. Download the Birthworkers Business Playbook now and start growing your business with ease. Head to the show notes to get your link for your free copy. That's brilliant. And I think you're right. We tend to shy away from the money so much and the numbers. And it's easier to kind of say, I'm doing okay, it's fine for now, but I know I can't put any pressure on it. But sometimes we can be pleasantly surprised if we dig into our numbers and if we need to streamline things. But it's the confidence to be able to look at it, to start the process in the first place.
Absolutely, yeah. And, sometimes it's even quite eye-opening to realise how much you're actually spending in the business that you don't really need to be spending. So it's a little bit of an audit that even if you're not planning to have a baby right now, it's still a really good exercise to look at your numbers. How much is coming into the business every single month? How much are you spending on the business every month? Because I'm pretty sure most of us have got subscriptions, or we signed up to things that we've completely forgotten about or that we never use. Another thing to bear in mind is if you have signed up for a subscription, have a look at when the next payment is due, because if you signed up for a yearly subscription and that's like a couple of £100 or more, then you might have a big surprise when you realise there's a massive payment going to be coming out at this time that you hadn't anticipated or planned for because you've completely forgotten about it. So having a look at anything where you can save money in the business, and also where you can make more money by doing like simpler tasks or offering simpler services, where it's an easy way for you to bring in more income. There's all these different ideas that will come from doing that activity. So I highly recommend doing that, even if you're not expecting a baby or planning one.
Definitely a good tip, and noted, because it's something I haven't done in a while. So what about for people who are currently pregnant and they are maybe feeling a little bit panicky about what's going to happen when their baby arrives?
Yeah. So first of all, what I would say is congratulations. And secondly, I would say thinking about what maternity leave you actually do want to take. So if you've got current clients now, when are they going to be finishing up? If you've got clients that are going to be running over, so when the baby's here and you'll still be serving those clients, is that something that you still want to continue doing? Or do you need to start having those conversations with people now and starting to wrap things up, ready for when the baby does arrive? And again, with that, there's so many different things that you can be doing now. So depending on how much time you've got left between now and when the baby comes, how much energy you've got as well, which is another big factor that I don't really think a lot of people think about. And one thing that I didn't really anticipate being such a big part of my pregnancy journey was the lack of energy and the lack of motivation to do literally anything. And I really do take my hat off to people who have got to go and work a normal 9 to 5 job and they've got all these other commitments. And I just thought, how on earth do people do this? And I felt so grateful that I was able to take a step back in my pregnancy when I was feeling so exhausted and kind of take my foot off the gas a little bit. And now that I am feeling much more energized, I'm able to kind of put my foot back on the gas and kind of pick things up a little bit as well. So depending on how you are feeling in your pregnancy, it might also make a big impact on what you are able to achieve, what you want to achieve, and what that reality looks like for you. So again, it's just getting really, really clear on your current situation right now and what it is that you feel comfortable doing in the lead up to the baby arriving.
I think that's really important, especially for the people for the audience of this podcast, who are, doulas and antenatal teachers and different things like that. And many will already have children themselves, but might have a pregnancy after they're self-employed. So a lot of us will have had our first pregnancy either while doing that 9 to 5 job and getting maternity leave, then changed careers following the birth of her own children, and went into this type of work. So they might have, small children, toddlers, or older children even to think about in that as well. So I think the energy point was really important. That's what I wanted to pick up on, because for anyone, even without a family, as you found out, especially that first trimester or the first 20 weeks can be so exhausting.
Oh my God, yes.
You can't understand just how tiring it can be. So then thinking about feeling like that, plus having other children to look after, plus having work maybe to do. So I think that's a really important point that you made there around what can you manage, and really trying to look at your life as it is and your business as it is, and planning out what's going to work and what's not.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like everyone told me the second trimester, you're going to feel great. And I was waiting that 12 weeks. I was like, right, 12 weeks, come on now, 13 weeks, I'm going to feel great. I'm like, I've been lied to, because I didn't feel good again till about 19, 20 weeks. And it's only the past 2 weeks I've really felt a massive difference consistently in my energy, because I felt like some days I'd be like, oh, I've turned a corner, I feel great, I've got so much energy, and then I'd do loads of stuff, and then the next day I'd be like, oh God, I'm wiped again. So yeah, that energy inconsistency is just something that, again, I never took into consideration before getting pregnant. And I know a lot of your audience will already have children. So going into second pregnancies or, further pregnancies, you've already got that kind of insight into how you are during a pregnancy. So you'll know more so your energy levels. I mean, every pregnancy they're probably going to be different for people, but knowing more so what your energy is like, and knowing what it is that you're able to do within the business to get yourself set up for that maternity leave that you want to take.
Absolutely. And is there any other kind of preparation tips that you would have for people at either stage, either they're planning their pregnancy or they're pregnant, but they want to make sure either that they have a little bit of income still coming in, but aren't either working or aren't working as much, or, if they don't want to work at all, is there anything else that they can do to prepare?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about the types of people who are going to be listening to this podcast and like the work that they do. And I'm just wondering if there's anyone that would have anything that's sort of a self-study type of service that they can be selling, so they're getting that passive income coming in whilst not having to necessarily do that face-to-face work or that one-on-one work. And if you've got anything that you've previously done as a one-on-one that could be turned into a passive product, I would start looking at that now, whether you are in the planning phases or you are currently pregnant right now, because sometimes it feels very overwhelming to do something like that, turn a product into something passive, but it doesn't usually take as long as you think it will. And if there's a way for you to set that up now, knowing that when the baby's here, you've got some income coming in, no matter how much it is, like a little bit of income is still better than nothing, then 100% it's worthwhile taking a look at that now. Equally, if you know full well that you just want to completely switch off, pause, close down the business for whatever length of time and pick it back up again when you're ready, then what I would recommend is just having some form of savings, that every single month you are just pumping savings into a separate account, knowing that one day that's going to be your maternity leave income. And that would be my top advice for anyone that's listening.
Absolutely. I think they're both really important pieces, because yes, lots of birth workers will have information they can turn into a valuable resource. As you said, all of the questions that anyone tends to be asked in their job, that can be turned into either a course or an ebook or something along those lines that could be sold before the birth of the baby and also afterwards. And I think the savings thing is important, because often I find anyway, a lot of people feel that the money that comes in has to go out again, that it's something that either just goes straight into their personal bank account and they're not paying too much attention of. It's just a little bit of extra income, or it might be held in a business bank account, but it still all goes in and out. Essentially, they clear it out every month, and it can feel, if people aren't making large amounts of money, it can feel a little bit, well, is there really any room for savings in there? But I know I would certainly feel that in most cases there is, if we look at the numbers, as you said, and if you really dig into it.
Yeah, 100%. And, even if you are in that planning phase right now and you think the business isn't bringing in quite enough money yet to be able to put some separate money aside, it's like, well, cool. You already know that you're planning to have a baby in the future. So what needs to change in your business right now to allow you to bring in extra income, to allow you to be able to put some more money aside for savings? Because there's always other ways to make money and bring in income into the business that sometimes you just haven't thought about yet, or you don't have the skills or the knowledge to be actually able to do that, because we only know what we know, right? We don't know what we don't know. So sometimes it is about getting some extra support and some extra help right now, knowing that you've got this big exciting plan that you're working towards and extending your family or starting a family, and you know that you need to bring in some extra income now to be able to support you when you do decide to take that maternity, which is why if you are considering having more children in the next couple of years, start thinking about what you can do now, especially if you're self-employed, because as time ticks on and, you get closer to falling pregnant, or if you are already pregnant, you'll know that you feel like every day that time is just so important, because time's ticking away and you're getting close to that baby coming. And if you haven't made any changes, then you're still going to be in the exact same situation and stressing about how much time you can take off. And in my opinion, the reason why this was so important to me is because I didn't want to spend the first few months of being a new mum stressing out about money, stressing out about starting up the business again and coming back into it. I really wanted to enjoy those early moments of being a new mom, and that's why I wanted to have that first full year. What I have said is, like, maybe I'll decide after, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 months or whatever, actually I do want to dip my toe back in it again and like start up a little bit, but I want to give myself that full year that if I do want to take that time off, I absolutely can, and I don't have to worry or stress or feel the pressure about rushing back to work, which I see so many new mums do, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit. Like, some people want to do that, some people want to get back into work, and that is absolutely cool, but I know that a lot of people, they feel like they have to because they don't see they've got any other option for it.
And I do think, what you're doing now with your Mama's Era is so important in that, because as we've kind of been chatting it out, a lot of people are, maybe head in the sand or, or putting it off, and it might be something that they regret putting off after a period of time. So being able to get someone to support you during that process, whether it's the planning process or because you're there already. Because I know I found out through being a coachee, I'm not sure if there's a better word,
coachee,
that, having someone else to ask the questions and reflect things back to you and to give ideas as well, because they've been there or they understand things more than you do, is just so valuable, because we can run around in circles trying to figure it all out for ourselves, or we can get help.
Yeah, 100%, exactly. And, I wouldn't have been able to grow the business to this level if I hadn't invested in help when I needed it as well. And sometimes you think, is now the right time to really invest in something like this? When there's a baby on the way or planning to have a family, like, surely I should put that money aside to put into my savings pot or whatever it might be. But actually, if that investment can allow you then to have an even more flexible pregnancy, an even more flexible maternity, wouldn't it be worth to start thinking about that now? And, I've not shared too many specifics about what people can do in their business, because every single person is so different and every single business is different. So it's really hard to give really specific examples as to what people should do when there is just so many different options available for people. So it might sound like I've been a little bit vague in my answers, but it's because it would be impossible to say this is exactly how you need to do it when everybody is so different. Everyone's going to have different energy levels, different symptoms that they're dealing with, or different life circumstances and situations. So everyone's business is just going to look so different to everybody else in this journey.
And I really do think the birth workers listening will be able to understand that, because we would feel the same about our clients and the families that we work with, that we can give top level information, but when you're working with a family or with a client, that you're working on their individual needs. And that is the really important part in pretty much all service provision, I suppose, in working with people directly with what's going on for them and their very specific circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest message that I want to get across today is that you do have options and you do have choices. And just because you are self-employed, just because you're working for yourself, doesn't mean that you can't take the maternity leave that you would want to take. Let's say if you were employed in a job and getting that maternity pay every single month into your bank account. There's so many different options available to you. And I just want more people to know that that's there and that's available for them.
Absolutely. And I think it is a lovely way to consider it. Again, because people might be putting it on the long finger and saying now's not the right time, when I make this amount of money, when. And we always know if we always wait for when if gets further away because we put further barriers on it, or, you know, it's like, okay, I got this far, but actually I need to be that far. But having someone to support you with the planning process and to talk it all through, so you can actually really visualize, well, what would this look like and how would I make it work?
Yeah, 100%. I'm thinking back to a couple of years ago when Social Cactus was literally at its peak, and it was during the COVID times, and everything was just, it was such a different world back then. It was so crazy. And like, if I'd have fallen pregnant back then, I don't know how on earth I would have coped. I would have had to make some very, 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 very big decisions and lose a lot of income because I didn't even anticipate having children back then. Mm-hmm. So I've got that in my mind that there'll be other people in that situation right now as well, that they've built this business up to work in a way that, yeah, it's great when you're in it and you can work and you're the main person in the business. But if something was to happen and you weren't able to work anymore, or you had to take a step back, what would actually happen to your business? What would happen to your clients? What would happen to your income? And it doesn't even mean that this is just relatable to people who are thinking about having a baby. But this is, if you've got a family member that you need to go and look after, or, if you fall poorly or sick, God forbid, but, if you weren't able to work as much, what would happen? So I really do think that this advice is really relevant to everybody, no matter what stage of life that you're in, because you just never know what's around the corner. So it's kind of preparing, not just baby-proofing your business, but you're preparing your business for life, because life happens, and sometimes we're not prepared, or we don't have a backup plan or a plan B if something was to happen where we weren't able to work and bring in income into the business.
Absolutely. And in the past couple of years, I've had some things myself where I've needed to take a step back, thankfully just for short periods, having planned to an extent of having, money in the bank nearly, you know what I mean? That your business can run for a few months on its own if needed, is so important, as you said, for everybody, no matter where they are in their life. You don't have to get pregnant for that to happen.
Yeah, exactly that. And, I've been so fortunate that the past couple of years when I've been really thinking about what I wanted the business to look like and making some big changes for myself, I have been able to take a step back, and I haven't had to hustle or have this pressure on me to keep going if things didn't feel in alignment anymore. I was able to think, right, okay, let's just pause a moment, let's just take a step back, let's just reevaluate and think what needs to happen. And I'm just so grateful that I've had that opportunity and flexibility to be able to do that. And my wish is that everybody has that flexibility to be able to do that, no matter what's going on in their life as well.
Absolutely. So Amy, thank you so much. But is there any kind of final finishing points that you wanted to make that maybe we haven't touched on already?
Oh, I'm not sure, but if anyone's got any advice to me for being a first-time mum at 38, I'd be really happy to hear your advice. You said to me, Neve, when you start telling people that you're pregnant, you're going to get so much advice that you might not ask for. I've had nothing. No one sent me anything. So I'm like, I kind of want to hear what people have got to say.
Well, you have just opened a can of worms, Amy, into this community. So you'll find Amy at Social Cactus Coaching and at Your Mama's Era if you want to flood her with all of the advice that you would love to give her about being a first-time parent. She has told you openly she is willing to receive it. All the birth workers are now jumping up and down with excitement, going, oh my God, I can give unsolicited advice because it's now solicited. So they're very excited. Thank you so much for coming on board. You remind everybody of your socials there, just in case I got anything mixed up.
Yeah, so it's at Social Cactus Coaching, which is the business and mindset coaching account, and my brand new account, which is at Your Mama Era, which is my new account. I'd love to see you over there. It's for people who are currently pregnant or thinking about starting a family, but it's so fun. I'm loving the content that I'm sharing on there at the moment. So come and say hello, come and say that you found me here, share one piece of advice with me. I might not take it on board, but I'll be grateful to hear it and to receive it. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's been great.
Oh, it's been lovely to see you. And I would say, viewing your Mama Era account myself, you don't have to be pregnant or planning a pregnancy to enjoy it. Because if you are, especially in this industry, you will enjoy just watching Amy's videos around the pregnancy and around everything, because it's great fun as well. So listen, again, thank you very much, and I will catch up with you again soon.
Thank you.
Don't forget to download your totally free copy of the Birthworkers Business Playbook, now available for a limited time only. So check out the show notes to get your link and get your copy.